Today is the 9th of June, and as you can see from the clock, it's 6:45 in the evening and all the staff have gone and the office is quiet, and I'm just walking out onto the nursery to do a bit of work. It's been so hot today. We had temperatures of 25 or 26 degrees centigrade, which in the UK feels like 30 degrees or 34 degrees, which you would get in the tropics. So this sort of heat we are not used to, and we really suffer, and some of the plants tend to suffer. And of course, because it's so hot, the watering is a nightmare. We have 3 staff watering from about 8:30 in the morning till about 6 in the evening, and they all water the field and the greenhouses. It's a never-ending task, but the trees are looking nice by and large, and I thought I'll just take you around for not a real walk, but just to catch up on some of the projects that I've been doing, and also showing you what needs to be done at this time of the year. And things are forever changing, as you will appreciate, those of you who grow bonsai. And here are my Wisterias. They've almost finished flowering, and the scent is absolutely overpowering. These are the Chinese Wisteria, Wisteria sinensis. They have that very deep scent. I've also got the white sinensis, and I've got a white floribunda. So as I walk around the nursery, I'll show you what is what. That's my Conker tree, and this is a great big oak tree. Look at it, splendid sight, 4 foot tall. And I'm going to bring my pruning scissors and go around and show what needs to be done as I walk around. Today I don't have the luxury of an assistant or a volunteer to hold the camera for me, so I'm just going to go around, camera in my left hand, a pair of pruning scissors in my right hand, and I'm going to show you what I do in the cool of the evening. It's still warm, but it will soon become cool. By 8 o'clock it will become decidedly cool. So straight away I can see that there is a crab apple here with all these long shoots. All these long shoots have grown over the last 2 weeks or so, and the fruit has started developing, the flowers are finished, and all these long shoots have to be pruned back. So you don't have to be that precise, just go around and prune the shoots back. And if you ask me, how do I know how much to prune? Well, as a rule of thumb, I always say to leave 2 leaves of the new growth. So if we look at a particular branch, let me bring the camera closer to give you a good example. Now this is a branch. From here to there is the growth that has grown in the last 2 or 3 weeks. So you can either prune back to about 2 leaves like that, or 3 leaves, but you need to prune it, otherwise it gets too long. So that will harden and they will form the flower buds for next year. So I go around doing all that. So we are pruning not just to keep the tree looking neat and tidy, but also to form the flower buds for next year. If you keep letting it long and long without pruning, all the energy will be wasted in the vegetative growth, and it won't have a chance to form the flower buds. And you may ask, how do I know where to prune? I did show you 2 buds, but if you can find what is called an outward growing bud, that means a bud which is pointing that way, that would be best. If in doubt, just prune it to shape. And there you go. And while I'm here, there's a maple here with that long shoot over there. We don't need that, just prune it back. Just keep it pruned in a triangular shape, and the more you prune, the more density you get. So that's what I'm going to do. You literally can go around with your eyes closed and just prune away. And let's look at some of these. Sometimes I leave the shoots to get long to strengthen the tree, but if that sounds too complicated to you, just prune away regardless. Now let me move on to something else. Okay, let me find another crab apple just to reinforce the learning process. Of course, some of my trees get pruned regularly, so because they are looking so neat, there isn't really an example to show you. So these were pruned, I think, only about 4 or 5 days ago. This tree has been pruned 4 or 5 days ago. So you can see that there's one long shoot, but all the other shoots have been pruned. So let's have a look at this one. So this long shoot I will prune back here to an outward pointing bud. Now let me explain to you the black edges on these crabapple leaves. Crab apples belong to the Rosaceae family, and like the roses, they get black spot sometimes. So this could be either black spot which is starting to form, or it could be because our guys forgot to water at the right time, so the leaves have dried at the edges. So I can't be sure what it is, but if you do see sometimes black spotting on the Rosaceae, in case you are not familiar with scientific terms, the Rosaceae is the rose family, and the rose family includes crab apples, cotoneasters, and trees of that ilk. So again, here there are some long shoots here. I prune that back, prune that back, prune that back. So that's what I do. So these are all the crab apples here. You can see how the fruit are starting to form. Although the flowers have finished, it's always nice to see some other plants coming to flower. And while I'm passing, let me show you those long needles of that black pine. Look at the long needles. Those are due to be pruned. That's on the top of that bench. I can't reach it, but they will all be pruned. And I will come around and show you this horse chestnut or conker tree. This is the only one that I've got in a bonsai pot. I've got a lot of conker trees in the field in large flower pots which are bonsai, but they have not yet been potted up. And tiny conkers are actually forming on that tree. And of course all the pines, I don't know whether I will have all the time to go around it, but every tree, every pine has all these thousands of candles and needles. So the candles have finished, and of course they're becoming long elongated shoots, and if I'm to keep them tight and in good condition, not become straggly, I have to prune every single new shoot off. So can you imagine how long this is going to take? Look at it. All that has to be pruned. Again, while I'm here, I just noticed that there are adelgids on this pine. I like to show what is called warts and all. Now that white stuff, some people call it mealy bug or whatever, but that's not the correct name. This is a pest, this is an insect pest, and this insect pest is called adelgids. I've mentioned it before. Adelgids only affect pines and larches, and it's spelled A-D-E-L-G-I-D-S, adelgids. So when you see this, you need to spray it with an insecticide. It's very hard to get rid of it if you don't spray. But these candles have already opened, so I really should cut it back. I don't want it to get too long, otherwise the shape will be completely lost. So it's never too late to prune the pines like this. Sorry, I'm holding the camera in one hand and trying to prune with the other hand. Another pine. Can you see all these lovely candles? But unfortunately we don't want them. We want the bonsai to be compact, so every single candle is coming off. So a tree like this, which is not that big a tree, can you imagine how many candles there are? Loads and loads of candles. And talking of adelgids, in the spring or early summer, June now we would call this early summer, some people call it late spring, the insects get very active, and especially adelgids. So this is the time you've got to keep an eye on the adelgids and spray and keep on top of it. So much for the pines. I will walk to some other pines and just show you again. But while I'm here in this green shade area, the Satsuki Azaleas are beginning to bloom. These have been outside all the time, so they're blooming a bit late. And so look at these with beautiful trunks. These take very long to grow. So the Satsukis have come from Japan. We bring them small and grow them big. So many of these have been here for years and years. And Satsuki, not everyone understands the nature of the growth. Now look at this one here. As I say, I like to show warts and all. And all these yellow leaves, people get worried about it when they see it on the azaleas. But don't worry. The yellow leaves are the old leaves which are about to shed when the new leaves start forming. So don't worry too much if you see it. Some trees do that, but you don't get it on all trees. Look at this one, for instance. This one has got no yellow leaves, or if there are yellow leaves, very, very few. Let me go to this one. This one hasn't got any at all. This one, by the way, is called Son of Corinne. The flowers are really beautiful. Some, of course, flower much later, so many of them don't have any flowers at all. So they all flower over a long period. So the Satsuki season in the UK, like in Japan, is from the end of May right into early July. So this is the shade area. The shade area helps to keep these plants from being burnt. And this is a giant, great big Japanese white pine. And already the candles have become needles. So all these have to be pruned. If you don't want it to grow bigger, you can prune it right off. See, like that, you can prune completely off like that. But generally, you need to take every single new candle off, which is becoming the branches. So in order to keep it tight, you've got to go through doing this. So there is a lot of work. I don't know how I will manage to keep on top of it, but it must be done or the tree gets into bad condition. I'm not worried too much about some of these weeds that I grow on the pots. Look at that beautiful Japanese weed. It's got beautiful yellow flowers, so I'm not fussed about it. I let it grow. But generally, most of my trees are in good nick. That maple looks good. See, that Satsuki Azalea has finished flowering already, so the next thing to do is to deadhead it and prune it back as well. So that's going to take time, so it's a never-ending job. So can you imagine the number of man-hours or woman-hours that is spent trying to tidy up the nursery, keep them in good condition. I love this time of the evening when the sun is low and you get the sun playing on the nursery. Look at the site, look at that site. It really gives you a lovely feeling. So work is not really work when you enjoy it. Now let me walk to some of the pines. At this time of the evening, the birds are singing. So what more can you ask? Look at this maple, it's due for a prune. And this has been grown in the open all year round. So this needs a thinning out and a prune. And the larches, the new shoots have started growing long. So with these new shoots, I have to prune them back like so. So that's what I have to do with all these long shoots. So this is just to give a flavor of the jobs that you should be doing. I know many of you don't have the varieties that I have or the range of varieties, but as a rule, anything which is growing too long, just snip it off. So I've only done a little bit. The whole tree has to be, all those long shoots have to come off. All those long shoots have to come off. And look at this white beech, even this one. Look at those shoots. They are all about 12 to 18 inches long, all this year's growth. So you can see the original shape. They have to be pruned back to shape. I've never tried taking cuttings of white beech, but I guess they would take from cuttings. So let me show you at a quick glance how I do it. So again, if in doubt, just prune to shape. You can see already how I've pruned that. The top I can't reach, but you can see the general idea. All those long shoots have been pruned off. These are a stock of our mica pots. This is that great big dawn redwood that I've been air layering for the last 15 years. I've got about 5 trees out of this, and this is the base of the tree. It was the subject of a video last year. More larches. And these are the hornby air layerings that I've been doing. This is a very strange rough bark. I think it's a black pine. And look at the length of these needles. Look at the length of these needles. It's that long. So I need to prune them off. If you want the branch to grow long, then leave it alone. But if you don't want it to grow long, cut it off. And if you want to graft, being a rare tree, you can graft this onto Scots pine and see what happens. This is a Japanese hornbeam. I don't have many of these, but the leaves are so distinctive, quite different from the European hornbeam. So that is Japanese hornbeam. And let me take you to a European hornbeam. That is European hornbeam. They look a bit different. So this is that famous air layering. The plastic bag is still there. Great big monster tree. And with the hot sunshine, many of the leaves are starting to get burnt. But as long as the trees stay reasonably healthy, I keep an eye on it. And this is an English elm made into a bonsai. This is a drastic need of a prune. I won't tackle it now. I'll do it for another day. While I'm walking past, let me show you this Scots pine. This I've been pruning for the last 2 years. This is the second year only. So just by pruning the candles back, I've managed to get this very tight growth. So all these needles, every single needle is going to come off. It's like pruning my garden trees almost. Look at that candle. That candle is at least 5 inches long. All that should be coming off. We don't want that. So as I say, this is just describing the sort of tasks I'm going to have to do. I'm not going to bore you with showing how each particular tree is going to be pruned, but I'm just going through the different tasks that are on my plate. And what have I got here? In case you don't recognize this tree, this is the monster maple. I did a video on the 19th of January 2019 where I described how you make a bonsai from field-grown materials. So this was a field-grown maple, and it had the roots going round and round, and I used the axe and cleaver to chop it and cut it. And look at it now. I'm going to refine it. This is going to be subject of another video. All these long shoots, about 12 to 15 inches long, have grown in the last month, and I'm going to give it the second pruning. It's already had one prune, and I'm going to improve the root base as well. So this is going to be a very interesting video that I'm going to be working on in the next couple of days. More pines. You can see I've got my work cut out, as the expression goes, and all these candles have become long needles or long branches, and every single one of them have to be cut back so that I get bud back further into the wood. And again, as I was mentioning, you can see the start of the adelgids. You can see the white. Can you see the white in there? Those are adelgids, insects, and they have to be sprayed to keep it under control, otherwise it'll suck all the sap and ruin this tree. So a lot of adelgids on this one. So apart from pruning the needles back, we have to keep a close eye on insect pests. So by doing this, is going to be very compact. And those of you who have experience of Scots pines, it's a very difficult tree to make into nice bonsai because they have very floppy branches. And with the floppy branches, it's very hard to get a compact shape. They always have to be held up with wire. So I've only barely touched that one. And look at the candles on the ground. This whole tree is going to need pruning. And of course, same goes with the Japanese 5-needle pine. This is a 5-needle pine. Look at all those candles. You know, they've become long shoots already. So every single one has to be pruned back and pruned off. So I hope this gives you a flavor of the tasks that have to be done. I will just walk into the greenhouse because I just want to show you one or two things that you may want to catch up on. The first thing I want to show you is that larch. The larch I worked on, this is Josh's tree where bending an impossible trunk, and here is that tree, and you can see how the wound is callousing over. You can see how it's healing up. Beautiful. So this is doing well. You notice I stand my plants on gravel in this greenhouse because this helps to keep the moisture, and the roots find their way into the gravel and it makes it grow much stronger. While I'm in here, no, that other tree is outside. That turtle back, let me show you that, because many people think I'm hiding something and not showing you everything. But that turtle back is outside one of my tunnels. Let me take you there. The nursery looks quite neat. I saw it only the other day, and the turtleback video was shown 2 days ago, and it caused so much interest. So let me show you what's happening to the turtleback. So this is the turtleback again. Look at how it's growing. Sorry about the weeds. I've got to get the weeds off to show you the tree. So that is the turtleback there. I'm going to refine it a little more and show you this tree. So the turtleback is well on its way to becoming a nice bonsai. So that is the turtleback, but that will be also the subject of another video. So there's lots of goodies to come. So I hope you enjoyed this little tour showing you some of these projects which are about to be done. Just to make your mouth water, we have so many junipers that are coming on, waiting to be made into big bonsai. These are very long-term jobs that I have before me. So we are never in a rush. We are never in a rush. I've just wandered into this plastic tunnel and I couldn't help but show you this great big hornbeam air layering. Look at it. This is every bit 4 feet tall and the trunk is about 6 inches in diameter. So this is doing well. We grow our trees in this tunnel because it has a very hot, humid environment and it makes things grow very fast. And of course, I don't just grow bonsai, I grow beautiful flowers as well. And these are quite rare peonies. So we have lots of very interesting peonies, and I brought you here really to show you. These are my wisteria seeds, white wisteria. Look at them. You can still see the seeds there, just like runner beans, and they're so prolific. Thousands of seedlings coming up. So whoever says they're difficult to grow will need to reassess their technique. And you see, I grow my own Japanese irises. This batch of wisteria seeds we left out in the open one April night, and the hard frost -2, -3 destroyed most of it, but there's some other seeds still coming up. But I have so many that I don't need to worry too much. I'm trying to find another interesting tree that I worked on. I can't find it. Ah, I can see something interesting there. And this is the sycamore, I think, that I worked on. And the sycamore was literally dug from the field. I'm not sure whether that video has appeared yet, but this sycamore was just something that was from the field with a very interesting root. And here it is. I must prune these trees and show it to you when they are refined. But suffice it to say, with sycamore, because the leaves are so large, you can very safely cut all the leaves, every single leaf off, and I can guarantee you within 3 weeks or 4 weeks you will get a whole crop of new leaves which are much smaller. So this is how you would deal with sycamore. It's not a tree that people like to use because it is really considered a pest or a weed. The sycamore seedlings come up everywhere and people don't know what to do with them. But if you let them grow, like this one, this was growing, I think, in a stone, and look at that effect. There you go.